You guys, You guys did a hell of a job. I mean, I'm not arguing that. And yes, I know you beat Gus. Dude, a lot of people beat Gus. But here's the thing, man. I mean, you coached here 3 times. I mean, listen. I met you when you were a GA. I just don't think you're ready to be the head coach at Auburn. I mean, I gotta go. Hey guys, what's going on? Hey, sorry about that. We're live here on the internet. What's going on? I'm Jay. I'm the publisher of AuburnSports.com, and we just finished our last brain drain like 18 hours ago. But guess what? We have reason to be going again because, as you can tell by this nifty little emergency light, we have an emergency brain drain in progress because things have happened. Things have occurred. The head football coach, Gus Malzahn, has been terminated or is in the process of being terminated, and Auburn has punted. They lived to punt. He beat Mississippi State last night. He danced the night away, enjoying his win, 6-4. And then this morning he found out that Auburn didn't want him as the head coach anymore, and I'm sure it was not a pleasant thing. You know, some folks in the bunker are like, yeah, well, at least you got a lot of money. I'm telling you, it still stings, man. It still stings. First super chat coming through from Fat Crack. My man. Thank you, Fat Crack. You're the man. Well, I'll just put this right here. Thank you for jumping in. Let's go, JGT. Let's freaking go. Oh, man, I screwed up the air horn. Hold on, bro. I was on the phone, and I was all disheveled. I don't know what was going on, bro. Hey, now. Fat Crack, my main man. It was super chatting fool last night, too. Also, Hornacias is here, too. This is fakes. Page 69ers suck 1 a.m. beaches. We are definitely not going to 1 a.m. tonight, folks. We did last night, Central Time. We went to 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Alpha Tiger says he didn't find out this morning. Okay. This had been in the works for a little while. It was hidden from me. Well done, actually. And hidden from Philip also. Although Philip had a feeling. And he had been saying for a while that he thought this is the way it was going to go. And I thought that it was time, and I know a lot of people had told me that, but I just, as you guys know, those of you who watched the brain drain last night, I didn't think they had the sack to do it. But they did. They did have the sack to do it, and they did it. Also got a super chat coming through from Ryan S., my main man. Says he's already poured the Weller Antique. In all seriousness, Gus was a good dude, but it was time. I completely agree. Man, I mean, it was just time, you know. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to say goodbye. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Man, we got 4 super chats through already? Good golly, Miss Molly. Unbelievable. Elite Gus coming through, my man. Says, always said it wasn't about money with Gus. Hope he enjoys it because it was his demise. Hey now. We can still do Gus impressions, Avery, I promise you. It'll still be relevant for a long time, there's no doubt. I mean, we still do Terry Bowden ones. Me and Philip, the old people that remember when he used to go, he used to always say that. And I still do Tubby Smith when I covered him in 97. He'd always go, thank you, at the end of a press conference. Anybody have questions? All right, thank you. It was great, man. Tubby Smith was fun to cover. Let me go ahead and move over to our main accommodations. I have changed some of the elements here on the screen. We changed it to Malzahn, one of my favorite pictures of Malzahn right there. I was talking about this in the group chat with B-Matt and Jay Lee earlier today that I thought that was such a perfect picture of Gus because it's just Gus. Like, it just very encapsulates him, I think. And I think Brian said it best when it just looks like, I want to make sure I quote him correctly. It was pretty funny. Make sure. Constipated thumbs up. It's like he's trying to be cool, but he's actually kind of nervous, and that whole thing, you know how it is. Another super chat coming through. Holy cow. Sparrow Empire jumping in. It says free Sharif. Obviously a reference to Auburn's point guard Sharif Cooper, who is still sidelined due to a compliance issue of some type. Auburn has not spoken much about this. I've dropped some hints here and there on the bunker about what I think's going on, and if this impasse is ever going to get managed or passed by, I don't know. I don't have a great answer for that. AU Storm 20 says the blue checkmark Twitter warriors are out in full force today. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm going to guess I know what you're talking about, and that is the indignant national media is going to say, how dare Auburn, after a 6-4 season where he damn near won a national title, would they even consider punting Gus Malzahn? Noted nice guy, did a hell of a job, beat Alabama a few times. I don't know if you guys remember the miracles. He was the man there for that. That's probably what they did, isn't it? I bet that's what it is. Christian C's in the house, our outstanding intern. He's a Montanan. We love having him down here in the South. I was just complimenting you earlier, Christian, on the horn. I was talking to your mentor, Nathan King, former AuburnSports.com intern, now full-time writer over at our friends at Auburn Undercover. And I mentioned to him that I thought Christian Clemente, who's now our intern, is doing an awesome job, which I told you this, Christian, but you should know that. Locked On says he's checking in. Must say I am pleased. Yeah, what a twist, huh? So we talked about things last night, and I was like, I think they need to fire him, but I don't think they have the sack to do it, and that's the way we left it today. So today they did. Allen, I think BMAT was just slightly ahead of Allen's release, as I recall, but it all happened in like a 2-minute period, and Alan Green, Auburn's athletic director, put out a release that said that they were relieving him of his duties and they wished him well, and they were going to immediately begin searching for a replacement. I mean, I can't sit here and say it's shocking to me. I don't think any of you guys are shocked. If any of you guys are shocked, it's going to be the reason I am, that I did not think they had the sack to do it. I just thought that the neutrals would be like, I don't know. And then to have Allen, on the radio last night saying about all the financial constraints and all of that, I just didn't think so. Bob Loblolly says Christian has a radio voice. I agree. He has a great voice. He's very cool. I think he would be great as like if it was the 80s and he was still doing FM radio, he'd be like KAYI, K107, Tulsa, Muskogee's rock hits. Here we go with another one. It's going to be Kenny Loggins and I'm All Right. He could do that, I bet. He'd be awesome at it. Dylan G wants to get Nash Tiger on. I think that was the lowest rated phone call I've ever had last night. Yeah, Joey says I've got Cristobal highlighted over there. I wanted to make sure that everyone understood that was Mario Cristobal in this little cutout picture there. I went ahead and used him as the art there because I feel like the bunker, any opportunity they have to kind of take in Mario, they're happy with him. These potential candidates, I actually posted a hot board earlier today. Within about 10 minutes of the news coming out, we had it ready to go. I just had to make a couple changes. Kevin Steele is now the interim. Had to add that. And so I believe I had Napier in first place right now. Cristobal in second place right now. I had Hugh Freeze and Kevin Steele tied for third place. Although I did say in the bunker when I posted it that Kevin Steele was trending up. I think I had Napier at like 55% or something like that. Cristobal at like 40%, Kevin Steele, Hugh Freeze at 10% each. I did not have Tony Elliott on there. I've added him. Steve Sarkisian. We talked about it a little bit last night. I think he's really good. I still feel like that's still a risky pick. And then Neil Brown is a guy whose name I heard once last week from somebody that I trust. And I don't think he's, a super tasty candidate at this point, but I've heard his name, so I thought it was worth putting it on there. I feel like I'm missing so much stuff in here. Alpha Tiger says, Jay, you going to let me call in so you can hear my new opening line replacing Fargus? You need a new one. You need some new material, don't you? Canoe Man says, Kevin has no desire to be head coach at this point. Yeah, I don't agree with that statement. Dylan says he likes Kevin Steele. I do too. I think he's a very entertaining person and he's a good coach. Yeah, and he's from this way. He's from Prattville, I believe. I think so. It's been a minute. He went to Tennessee, though. So, let's see anything else going on here today. All right, so typically these things work like this. And I mentioned this in the bunker. If you guys are not subscribers at auburnsports.com, you ought to be. I actually dropped some nuggets mid-afternoon about what I thought was going on. Usually, you set up a committee and you sometimes work with a headhunter organization and with like Carr and Associates or whoever, and then you get a list, then you interview your final 3 or whatever, and that's how you do it. That's just how it usually works. And that's the way that I think, to some degree, they're going to make it look that way. But I think that this particular search, for the first time in a while, I feel like they've got already a pretty honed idea of who they're going after here. So I'm not 100% sure that they're going to go through the whole drama of get the committee together, interview everybody individually. Like, I don't know if they get to that point. B-Matt was saying on our emergency podcast this morning, I guess it was late this morning, that he thought something could be done, within, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. You got signing day on Wednesday, and that's a big deal. That's going to be a very difficult situation right there. But I think Auburn looks at it as everything about this is difficult, so might as well just plow on and see what we can do here. Brandon says he wants Urban Meyer. We have to at least call him. I don't know, man. If the people who are making these kinds of decisions already have reservations about Hugh Freeze, I think they would have reservations about Urban Meyer too. He did harbor he did some harboring of his own, if you know what I mean. See, Robert says, I say we hire Cam Newton, and Tiger Walk looks like a line full of Mary Poppins. This is an interesting criticism of Mario. I don't like Mario doesn't know recruiting area. Interesting. MWS says, JGT, can anyone call in yet? Not just yet. I'm just getting the show kicked off. I have a couple things I wanted to say first. But I appreciate you calling in last night from near, we'll call it Northeast Oklahoma. Spicy P says he has signed up for the bunker today, which I'm pretty fired up about. I'm glad to hear that, bro. Spicy P also says he heard we're announcing Mario before noon CT Tuesday. Well, buddy, that's not very long. I do have some questions. Let's just say it's going to be Mario, okay? I think right now Billy Napier's a little bit ahead of Mario. I talked to a couple people today who felt like it was flipped. That it seemed like everybody's in agreement that Napier, Cristobal, and Kevin Steele are the 3 guys that are like at the top at this point. And then I think there was some fussing about whether Napier or Cristobal should be in the number 1 spot. If you guys had asked me, I didn't want to talk about it last week, but if you'd asked me Wednesday, I would have said it was Cristobal on the front. Now, when I wrote it today, I got Napier in front because I felt like there's been some people that have been really impressed with him and seem to kind of favor him, but it's still a little bit ways out. I don't think it's fair to say Mario Cristobal doesn't understand this recruiting area. He was the recruiting coordinator at University of Alabama. I'd say he was recruiting this area. Oh, by the way, yes, Melee. And I think Ravine asked this earlier. What do we drink tonight? I'm going to drink this Old Soul Single Barrel. A new associate of mine, Joel, was willing to bring this over from Columbus, Georgia the other day. And you can't get these in the state of Alabama, as I understand it. So these are barrel picks, single barrel picks, slightly higher proof. I think it's 109 proof. These are regular Old Soul, I think, is 90. And these have a different flavor profile altogether, where the Old Soul is like super balanced and soft and gentle and a very good starter bourbon. This one has a little more complexity to it and a little more bite, and I have to say I like it. It's 109 proof, and it punch you a little bit, which I like. I don't need anything super abrasive, but yeah, I like something with little. Do we need to put the this thing on here? Red alert, Gustav. That might get really annoying. I'll turn it off. I thought it was funny to have that on there. Let's see. Javion says, what's my top 3? You're looking at it over there, bro. Napier, Cristobal, Steele. There's been some questions about Steve Sarkisian. I heard his name for the first time early this afternoon. Was the first time I'd actually heard his name from someone whose opinion I would care about. You know what I mean? Don't know how far along that's ever going to be. You know, one person can tell me, hey, I like Steve Sarkisian, and I think it's worth putting it on the list, but I don't know if that means that they're going to seriously consider him. I mean, he runs a great offense at Alabama, truly one of the great offenses I've ever seen in college football because it just works so well. There's so many good players at Alabama, and they can run at you, they can pass at you, they can grind you, they can explosive play you. It's ridiculous how good they are, and they have a lot of good players, and Sarkisian does an outstanding job of just utilizing all of his talent, maximizing everything they've got. A very well-drilled group. So I'm of the opinion, and I always have been, that if you want to play this game where you've got to undermine Alabama, you got to get somebody who understands Alabama specifically. So, when it was Bear Bryant, and I mean, Shug Jordan was going against him. Barfield obviously went against him. And then when it was time to get really serious about stuff, they got Dye, who had been a Bear Bryant assistant, and you kind of, you turn it around on him a little bit, and ultimately Pat Dye did that. That means that you look at these guys over here. I mean, Napier's got ties to Saban. He worked for Saban. Cristobal has very tight ties to Saban. He worked for him for a while in a few different roles. Kevin Steele, obviously, close with Nick Saban. In fact, I would probably say that of all the coaches in the country, Kevin Steele's probably closer with Nick Saban than anybody. I would go so far as to say those two guys are friends. I think that's fair to say. MWF with a super chat. Look at that. Little Pat Dye action right there. Got an $8 super chat. $1 for every year we've had Gus. Or $8 for every great year we had under Gus. You guys are great, man. It's funny. So that's my opinion. I think Auburn, if they're going to try to really undermine Alabama, and I just wonder if that's going to be an outdated idea here shortly. Not to say that Alabama's going to fall off, but Saban's not going to be there forever. And if you're going to gear up and say, we're going to do everything we can to beat Saban, and then he leaves in 2 years or a year or 3 years or 4 years. I mean, you'd assume they would get somebody else, but like they always say, you don't want to be the guy that follows Saban. You want to be the guy that follows the guy who follows Saban. And so I don't think they're going to – I don't know. We're on down the road. Keith M. says, checking in, JG, you knew it, huh? No, not really. I mean, I was a little surprised, honestly. There's been some people now who are like, oh, they decided, 2 weeks ago. And I was like, maybe. I don't know. If they did a hell of a job of keeping that a secret. Weather says, JGT, do you think Auburn will play in the bowl game? Hell yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, there's no doubt about that. There might be some opt-outs or whatever, but they're going to try to play that game. Grind says UGA will plateau. You could argue that they're already doing that right now. And Clemson, I don't know about. Yeah, he's really had Dabo's done an outstanding job recruiting, man, and the way he locks him down. Yo, Malcolm asks a great question. Says, what's the recruiting status at the moment with Gus fired? I actually texted Jay Lee earlier to see if I could get him on the show. And he hasn't answered me yet. He may be on special assignment. He's been working on some stuff, so I don't know exactly on that. Cleve, my main man, Cleve C. Thanks, sir. Hey, man, appreciate you coming back over. Haven't seen you as much. What are the chances of hitting a home run with the first coach hire? I don't know. I don't like this concept of a home run hire. Now, when Auburn got Bruce Pearl, that was a home run hire. And when Ole Miss got Lane Kiffin, that's a home run hire. You look at the guys over here, I bet you some of these dudes are going to be really, really good, really dirty. And then some of them are not. And I don't know which one's which. And I don't think you know which one's which. Every one of those guys has warts. I mean, Billy Napier, his offense, he's an offensive guy. The offense at Louisiana Lafayette is good, but it's like league average right now. It's not anything special in a Sun Belt context. Mario Cristobal, his team's 3-2. Dropped the rivalry game to a bad Oregon State team, lost to a bad Cal team. Team's not very good right now, although they were terrific last year. And his recruiting, I think, he's got the number 3 recruiting class in the country at the moment. Kevin Steele, I mean, he hadn't been a head coach since '92. It's been a minute. Not a lot of experience as a head coach, but certainly a lot of experience as a coach. Hugh Freeze, obviously, has got issues. Tony Elliott, I mean, very good offensive coordinator. He's been either co-coordinator or the full coordinator at Clemson for a minute now. Really was the guy. It seems like, oh, my goodness. Jeff jumping in again. Bro. Unbelievable. This is Urban. Please and thank you. Only home run out there. I mean, yeah, he's a great coach. Just don't know that. I don't know as though he'd be interested in Auburn. I just don't know that. I haven't talked to him about it. You guys are like making me laugh. Hold on. Somebody asked a great question and it just got by me. It was about what are the chances that somebody that they hire, the person they hire, is not on this list. Under normal circumstances, I would say good percentage, i.e., like in horse racing, you would take the field and you get like 6 horses. Normally, I would take the field. In this particular situation, the people that pushed so hard to get Gus out, and it took some pushing now, those people have some very specific ideas about where they need to go here. So I think those guys, in a way, are going to kind of push this through. And so I think the list is going to be shorter and tighter than normal, and I think it's going to happen a little quicker than normal. Josh C. wants to know about my thoughts on the Coastal Carolina coach, which is Jamie Chadwell. Terrific young coach. To me, he's half a click behind Billy Napier. He has less experience. He did a terrific job coaching the Chanticleers this year. Beat Troy last night, down in Troy. I just think that that's a risky hire, and I think he needs to go somewhere like an NC State or a South Florida or a Central Florida, somewhere like that, and just kind of prove it before he gets a big job like Auburn, my opinion, and I think Auburn will value itself that way as well. AU Storm 20. Jeff, appreciate you, brother. You were very generous last night, too. AU Storm 20 says, thoughts on this happening before signing day? I think that's huge and wonder if we have someone lined up before making this change 24-hour drain. Interesting question, AU Storm. Signing day is just too fast. That's Wednesday, and I don't see a benefit because, okay, let's just say that they were able to get someone hired Tuesday. I mean, signing day is Wednesday. You can't. Doesn't matter. Like if you give him 12 hours or you give him 24 hours before signing day, I don't know as though it really matters. So I think they want to work quickly, but I don't see necessarily why they have to. I mean, they've got a real stable interim head coach right now. I mean, Kevin Steele's been here a long time. I mean, there's zero concern about Kevin's ability to run the program, picking it up right now and going with it. Zero concern about it. I don't see why they got to be in a hurry. BMAT thinks so, and I think Jeffrey Lee does as well, but I don't. That's a good question, though, AU Storm. Crocosile jumping in with a super chat. Says Chanticleers are a bit rough in their style and play, but the coach is a big part of that, so pass. Oh, what? We love that. We like a little roughness. I like the way Auburn played last night. Talked a little more smack. Getting in the face a little bit. I think it's fun. Jeff says, Jay, where did Auburn get the guts to do what they did today? It shocked me. I'm waiting to have a good long conversation with Alan Green about this because I'm fascinated. I don't think he's the guy that made the ultimate decision here, but I actually he would be the one that would be able to explain to me how he got here because I've held several conversations with him over the years about the 18 situation, about the 19 situation, and just kind of what happened, what didn't happen. So I've got an idea of what he was looking at, but something went different than I expected. We'll leave it like that. I just didn't think they'd be able to pull it off. Shane says Freeze is a dirtbag. Ben Honest wants to know, do these guys know football? They think they do. I mean, I don't know who you trust the most. Okay, do you trust the money guys? Do you trust Al Green? Do you trust Jay Gouge? It ain't gonna be Jay Gouge. I don't know who's super trustworthy on that group. I mean, before it was like Jay and Mac and Pat Sullivan, at least in name. I don't know. Eddie says, no, Bill Clark, I have not heard. I know who that is, but I have not heard his name associated with this yet. Doesn't mean it won't happen. I have not heard that name yet. Let's see. Jordan says, Willie Anderson, who we trust and love, says just tweeted that he knows who the Auburn hire is and they will support him. Okay. Jeff C. says, are we seeing the impact of not having Dye and Jacobs? A little bit. More so, I don't know. I don't ever want to say anything bad about Coach Dye because I enjoy talking to him, and he's just great. Jay, you guys know how I feel about Jay. I'm not getting into that. See, 10-0 says, I think Bruce Pearl's success is what got Gus the boot. Interesting. It's an interesting question. I don't think that's why he got fired, but I do think it's part of it. You think Bruce came into an absolute wasteland program, and it took him a little while. It took a lot of pulling, but he got it to where it needed to be. And Auburn football is not a program that's a wasteland at all. It just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. That's all. It needs to be tidied up and maybe put some new, appliances in there and get a fresh coat of paint and see what happens. I think Auburn's got a lot of potential. I know you guys feel the same way. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the Skype. I didn't mean to rant too long. I just want to make sure that I got some things I wanted to talk about out of the way there. And yeah, Matt Campbell's another one that I know is popular on the bunker and is popular on the calls last night, but I have not heard that name. Not yet. Things change really fast in coaching searches, though. Josh Cease's Big Game Bob. I mean, crazy things happen. Sometimes Gene Chizik gets hired, but I would be shocked if he took a coaching job anywhere. I mean, a college job, I should say. I know he was in the XFL or whatever they were doing until it went belly up. Hey, caller, welcome to the show. How you doing?
JG, my man, how we doing?
What up? Who this? Is this Mama Do That?
This is Mama Do.
Yes. What up, bro?
Well, listen, I just wanted to kick this off to sort of let us ease into it because I know there will be a lot of folks behind me that are more fired up and more excited. But I'm cautiously optimistic, and we'll see what happens. I tend to agree with BMAT and Jeffrey Lee, though, that if you were going to make this move and you were going to make it today, you need to have somebody lined up, ready to go in the next few days. I don't understand why you do it now if you didn't have that assurance.
Well, I mean, they've never done that. I mean, they had an idea they were going to Tuberville in '98, but it wasn't a done deal.
Well, for sure they've never done that, but this feels very different to me, the way this has gone down so far. So I would just hope. I would hope they would do that. But I do find it curious that Kevin Steele is on the short list, and nobody loves Kevin Steele more than me. I adore Kevin Steele, but hiring Kevin Steele would be a hire that you would make if you felt like Gus had lost the locker room, the guys didn't want to play for him anymore, but you wanted to keep the rest of the staff together. Then you would bring in Kevin Steele. But I think from the reaction we've seen from players, in both that recently left the program and ones that are still on the team, I think it's apparent that those guys love him and just think extremely highly of him. So, I just don't understand why you'd make that move and then hire Kevin Steele, but perhaps that would be a very Auburn thing to do. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's some people that really support him and have supported him for a while. We're supporting him in the 18 attempted coup, and we're going to try to install him there as well. So there's a lot of people that really like him. But I understand you're not ragging on him. You like him, and I do too.
No, I love Kevin.
Yeah, I know
you
do.
I think Kevin's awesome. But it just seems like a lot of work to go through and money to spend to just basically keep the status quo.
Yes. I completely see what you're talking about. Like, go get a home run if you're going to do this, right?
Yeah, because again, I mean, I think y'all hit it on the emergency pod earlier today, but I have a lot of respect for Gus as a guy. I think he was a fantastic guy. I think Auburn history will look extremely well on what he's done in Auburn in this era of college football. And the best moments in Auburn history under his tenure, right? So, appreciate him, appreciate what he's done, but cautiously optimistic for the future. Why do you think Napier is ahead of Cristobal? Is it a money thing?
No, it's not. I don't think money's going to be an issue here. I just think they feel like Napier's got a certain kind of hunger, maybe that they don't necessarily see in Crystal Ball. But if they have a chance to talk to him, I think Mario would change their minds about that. Again, I think those two guys. I really think the top three over here. I think they're all clumped in there. I think all three of those guys are right there.
Yeah. No, I'd be interested. I think just Mario's name just carries a little more weight to me than Napier's does. But I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully they make a move quickly. But yeah, I will. I'll just keep reading and keep training. Appreciate all the coverage and all you guys have done to keep us informed. Despite a couple jackasses on the bunker, twisting your words.
Well, they do it.
But no, thanks, Jay. Appreciate everything, and always up for an emergency brain drain.
Yes, sir.
You guys are the best.
See you, man.
All right. Bye.
There's Mama Doodat, our favorite caller from all of Indiana. And now we've got another one of our favorite callers, Auburn alumni, on the line. What up, bro?
Man, what a beautiful, beautiful day today.
I knew, when this went down, I was like, Auburn alumni, wherever he is one happy man right now.
Buddy, so here's what's funny. I took my 5-year-old to the park, and I'm sitting there. Of course, all morning I'm sitting there, refreshing like a madman. So I'm like, all right, the heck with this. I'm just going to go to the park or whatever. And my mother-in-law and I were sitting at a table with my son's on a swing, and I literally stood up and went, son of a bitch, they did it. So, with a whole bunch of moms and young kids around. So that wasn't a good look. But it was all in the celebration and exuberance of a new era, a new day. It's a new day.
No, there's no doubt. It's a big day.
There's no doubt.
I know you wanted this to happen, but at the same time, are you kind of like, I hate to see Gus go down like that? I mean, I know you like him as a person.
So anyone, and here's the other thing. Look at the outpouring on Twitter from former players of Gus's, current players of Gus, anybody that saw it. And, there's a lot of people that post stuff on the board, but to me, unless there's some secret thing I'm not aware of, and I'm pretty sure you've already said it. I mean, to a man, just about everybody within the administration loves Gus as a person. Like, he's a genuinely good guy.
Yeah.
And I know that the players, I have friends that have been on staff and stuff like that, and they've all said that as a guy, he's great, and he listens to his players, and it's, he's just a very good guy. And none of this is about anything other than, we've talked about it. You can't never win a game at your rivals ever. You can't get just steamrolled by rivals every year. You can't win 2 games in 10 years against Georgia, one of which is on a Hail Mary that's tipped. You just can't do it. I mean, that's what the bottom line, especially for making $7 million a year. And I know Mamadou, he said, obviously there are moments that we will always remember with Gus. And then some of the greatest wins, but at the same time, and this is the thing with the Malzahn era, in my opinion, you have some of the greatest moments in Auburn history. You also have some of the most painful head-scratching moments. I mean, the 2016 Georgia game will be historic for years just on how inept that offense was in that game. And you remember the defense, we lost back-to-back games against Georgia where the defense did not give up an offensive touchdown. They didn't give up an offensive touchdown in 2015 or 2016. We lost both games. So it's stuff like that that, I'll always love 2013. I'll appreciate that time in 2017. I'll appreciate the fact that Gus was a great man and his players loved him and they never quit. They never folded the tent. But at the same time, we all saw what was happening and it had to be done. So, yeah, that's my thought on Gus as far as that goes.
Yeah. And then what's next, man? I mean, who's your pick of these guys, or is there somebody else maybe who's not on this list that you think would be the best choice?
So again, I'm Team Public Be Enemy. That's my guy, but it ain't happening. But I'm going to continue, to dream.
That's the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, by the way.
Yes, absolute stud in my opinion, and I mean, from what everybody says, and I assume he's going to be a pro guy. I think Joe Brady's a pro guy. So that's those guys, but I'm fine with Billy or Mario. I love Kevin Steele. That's the other thing. People are like, oh, I definitely want him out. I would love for Kevin to be on staff with Mario. I don't know why anyone watching Auburn football over the Kevin Steele era would have anything bad to say about Kevin. I mean, we've had consistently good to great defensive performances with him, and in a lot of games where the offense is either treading water or the offense is just bad, and they're still there. And if you give Kevin, Derek Browns and Marlon Davidsons, we have really, really good defenses. And I feel like a guy like a Mario who can recruit it at that level could provide that. As far as Steele as a head coach, I just keep going back, man. And, I don't see us spending the money we spent to just promote Kevin Steele. I just don't see that happening. He's 62. I just don't see that as the move. I love Kevin. I will always like Kevin, but I just don't see that as the move. I'm not understanding the Lane Kiffin love. I've never understood the Lane Kiffin love. I think he's a phenomenal offensive mind. But I don't see anything as a head coach yet to where I would want Lane to be the guy. Yeah, he tweets a lot and he throws clipboards in the air, but that's not the guy. But, Mario's the guy to me. And for one simple reason, his recruiting acumen. You can't, in the current age, in the arms race that we're dealing with our rivals, you cannot recruit at a 3-star level, and expect to get all, what I call the terrible specials, the diamonds in the rough. You're not going to find generic marks out there that are 2 stars, 3 stars, and you turn them into all players. You got to have the studs. Specifically lines of scrimmage, and Mario's that guy that is proven that he can get them. And I know everybody's saying, he lost this 2 games this year. I mean, I'm going to give him a pass this year. I mean, the Pac-12, they didn't even think they were going to have football until literally like end of October. Like, hey, we're going to play in November. I know that Oregon had several opt-outs. He's replacing his quarterback. I think he lost most of his O-line. He went 12-2 last year. Yeah, he lost to us. I get that. But again, it's not like that was a blowout either. That came down to the wire. And, I just feel like Mario would fit. But the bigger aspect is what you talked about. Who of these candidates, outside of Kevin, because Kevin knows the area, but Kevin isn't, as far as I know, isn't the recruiter he is. But of the guys, Billy, Mario, Kevin, Mario's the guy that has a lot of experience with Saban, playing – coaching with Saban. Mario knows the Southeast. Mario's been a head coach at a Power 5 program. Mario is a former offensive lineman. He's a tough guy. He specialized in line of scrimmage. I just feel like that, to me, and from what a lot of the insiders are saying, that's their guy too. I know that you said, and I wouldn't be surprised if, Billy is in the lead right now or Kevin, but I just keep going back to this. We're checking the boxes. And you're not going to get a home run hire. There is no home run hire. But if you're looking for the guy that checks the boxes of what you need, at least at the head job, to me, that's Mario. If you get a bunch of 5-star studs or high 4s, and we're recruiting at a top 5 level, top 6 level, something like that, you got a chance in every game. And you can tweak coordinators. You can go out and try a different coordinator or something like that. But if you got the guys on campus to do the work, that's the end game right there to me. And the other thing I will point out too, Jay, so we keep bringing up, well, we got to get him in before signing day. This is the new normal. It's always going to be like that. If it was a non-COVID year and you're thinking of firing your coach, guess what? You still got to deal with early signing day. That isn't going away. The difference this year is you have, one, is basically free agency that we're getting. And number 2 is a lot of guys that are seniors, if they want to come back, can. So of any year where you're going to fire a coach at the end of the year with early signing period, this is the year to do it because those things go away next year. So I don't understand I get some people like, well, you're going to lose a recruiting class, but that's every year now. Your early signing day is part of the college world nowadays. So, if that's the case, then I guess what we're saying is if you're going to fire your coach, you need to fire him mid-season, so that you can have time to get another guy or salvage your recruit. I don't understand, but that shouldn't be a factor to me.
All right.
But I'm leaning Mario. I asked this in the drain. I don't know if you are in the chat. Are you hearing kind of what the selling points are? I know there's camps within the Auburn folks you're talking to. Like, what's the selling point on Billy you're hearing, and what's Mario and Kevin?
They just
for
feel like
example.
Billy's really thirsty. I don't say a lot of times you say that in a bad way, but I'm saying it as just somebody who's like super hungry and just really wants to kind of build his reputation. And then people say some of the same things about Mario too, but I feel like the case for Mario is the easiest one to make of anybody on that sheet right there. I mean, he's been the recruiting coordinator for Saban. We know he can run an offensive line like a badass. We know he's doing a great job at Oregon. I mean, I know it's been tough this year, but it's a weird year. I feel like that's the easiest guy to say, here's a bunch of positives and not many negatives. But I've not heard like specifically Hugh Freeze, Tony Elliott, Sarkisian, what do we like about them or not? It's just they're just kind of throwing names out.
Right.
And Hugh Freeze, I don't see it, man. I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I said that last night. I think that the baggage is too much with him. But yeah, I'm thinking, if we're going to go the route that we're going now with these candidates, to me, it's Mario. Go get the studs, and then hire some good coordinators and coach them up. He knows Saban. He knows the area. He coached against them. I don't think you can underestimate that. And the fact that he was 4 years the recruiting coordinator for Saban, I just think that's invaluable. So that's my thought is go with Mario. But either way, I appreciate everything Gus did. He's a great guy. But I'm very excited to get some fresh blood in here, and hopefully we can start getting the record back to even against some of these rivals, particularly the one over in Athens, and also if we can get a win over there, that'd be great.
I always
live in Atlanta.
I always appreciated the way you were so. I guess the only word I can think of is professional in the way that you would criticize Gus. You never called him names, and you always made it that you're an Auburn guy and he's on the Auburn team. You just think that Auburn could do better. And I always appreciated the way you never let it get nasty, and I think that's good. I think you're a good tone setter for that kind of stuff, Auburn alumni, and I'm glad you got what you wanted.
Hey, man, I just want to win. That's all I want.
Just win, baby.
I want to win, and I want to win some championships, and that's all that matters. So, yeah, let's go get a winner.
All right, bro.
A winner, not a loser. Leader, not a loser. Yeah.
All right, Auburn alumni, that's 2 nights in a row. Appreciate you spending some time with us.
Appreciate it, JG.
See you, bro.
Later.
There he is, Auburn alumni. A great caller. We got a super chat while he was on the hone from War Eagle 0008, one of our top supporters, an absolute beast. Says, thanks for the show, Jay. Thing I feel strongest about is that we cannot hire Freeze. He's a really good coach, but an NCAA nightmare. I even think Ole Miss people last night were jumping on the show telling us that too. And we also got a super chat coming from Elite Gus, my main man who called in last night. Actually, he was one of our highlighted callers on the Brain Drain highlights that are on YouTube and also on the podcasting network. It just says clock. Clock's ticking, I guess, huh? I'll also put the 500 alert down there for you old school people. Yeah, J-Head. Interesting idea, sausage broker. He may not even know, because it's kind of an off time for us. I was texting with him earlier today. Let me see if he'd want to hop on here. And something else that popped up into my head is that, okay, so there has been some chatter. I have never covered a coaching search at Auburn, okay, and I've covered 90 – hold on, I got to get through this thought. Hold on, Alpha. I love you, Alpha, but I want to get through this thought real quick. All right. So I covered the search in 98, 03, which ended up being a failure, 08, 12, now this one just started. So that's 4 big ones. The 98 one was weird. Because it happened in October and you had all that time. This is the first search that I have been a part of at Auburn so far where I just get this feeling they really want to accelerate it. Like in the past, it's like, well, we'll take our time. And, like when Chiswick resigned or whatever at the end of that year in 12, they had a month because it was like bowl prep and all that kind of stuff. More people have been talking to me about, got to get this done. There's a lot of chatter that Cristobal is the guy they want to get done in a hurry. And, I started thinking about this. Cristobal is in kind of a weird situation right now at Oregon where they have been trying to negotiate a new deal for him with a bigger buyout and bump him up in pay. And I think they're at a point now where they kind of want to hotbox him and try to get him to commit to the extension. So since that's like a pressing issue and he can't really put them off, I wonder if these people that keep kind of making these veiled comments about we need to push it, know that if they want to get Cristobal, they've got to get it done right now, because otherwise he's going to sign that deal with Oregon. And then you kind of have another – stop it, Melee. And then you have this whole other – some people don't like the way I say Oregon. Then you have a whole other thing where it's like, is he just using us to kind of sweeten his deal with Oregon, which, as you know, Auburn has been used that way a time or two, or is he serious about coming here? The couple people I've talked to specifically about Cristobal honestly believe that he wants to come to Auburn and that he would if they can kind of groove and get this thing moving. Now, I have not talked to Cristobal. I've not talked to his agent. I've not talked to anybody who's like in his orbit, but I've talked to people who are familiar with him, who are familiar with his thinking, and they believe that he would come. So maybe that does kind of push Auburn to do something quickly. That's an idea that just kind of popped in my head. I hadn't really thought about it that way. Whew. But usually these things don't go quickly, but this one may. There's a lot of people talking about it going quickly, which is unusual. But it's kind of an unusual situation. I don't think a quick thing, expeditious thing helps you on signing day. I think you're going to get whatever you get there, and you're just going to have to move forward after that. And I don't think it hurts as much because you've got the transfer market is going to be insane. It already is kind of insane right now, and then the next 2 months is just going to be like free agency. Just saying. Okay, let's see. Alpha Tiger, if you want to hop on, I got the phone line open for you, bro. Something I just forget about. I know if I'm coming up on an idea, I need to talk about it then, or else I'm going to forget it. Jeremy says, I'm a LOTR guy, confirmed, never seen one movie, if I'm saying Oregon. Captain Eagle Fly Good, my main man. Great handle. Says, Jay, if Kevin is hired, bigger meltdown than Chiz. I think it would be on par with that. I mean, I think everybody likes Kevin, though. Hey, caller, welcome to the show. How you doing?
JG, what's going on?
Word, is this AU Storm 20?
It is.
What up, bro?
Man, what a weird day. Not weird in the sense of weird, but it's just been kind of bittersweet. Kind of mentioned that towards the beginning. It just, like you said, it's the end of an era. I can't believe this day came. It kind of feels like a la-la land for once, you know?
Like suddenly you feel like everything's possible, right? Like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to grab my dreams. I'm going to pull them down and put them in my pocket.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just kind of been, you know, we always talked about this day coming. It's been, 2 years, 3 years or so where, yeah, you know, are they going to pull the trigger? Are they not? Well, we're back where we started, you know, at the beginning of every single year and end of every year. And then, you know, last night after the whole dance and video, I mean, I was like, that does not look like a guy who thinks that he's on his way out. And maybe he knew. I don't know. Maybe he was excited for the win and going out on that note, or knew he was about to get that check or whatever. But, I mean, that was kind of a shocking thing today. And it all kind of happened, you know, someone on the bunker mentioned that when Chiswick got let go in 2012, it happened at noon or 1 Eastern on that Sunday. And it was like getting close to that time, and they called a team meeting. I was like, oh, here we go. It's time. So, yeah, I think the nice thing about all this is that, you know, everyone has – I don't think he's leaving on bad terms. You know, from all the people who I've talked to, the people who are on the bunker, no one has any hard feelings towards him. I think everybody's in agreement that he's done some incredible things, especially him, and Christy has done some incredible things for the community, for the school, for the university. But I think there was just a point where, you know, everybody got too comfortable. And when that comfort level set in, it was just time to make a move and make a change, especially offensively. Yeah, I listened to the rundown earlier, and you mentioned it was either you or B-Matt mentioned, you know, what we might all look back at is, why did we never go after another Cam Newton or Nick Marshall? And he tried to kind of do his own thing with the quarterback situation, and that might be kind of where the downfall came, and his ability to create offensively and do that, and what they did back in 2013. And since then, it's just kind of been stalling. And I just think it was time. I hate it for him. It kind of made me sick to my stomach at first, just kind of knowing how great of people they are and everything. But after that, and it kind of all set in, it was his time.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it. I know him, and I know Christy. You guys know how I feel about Christy, and I've grown to really like Gus too. So this is really the first time that a coach has been fired at Auburn where I've been like kind of bummed out about it, just because I know him pretty well and I like him a lot. But yeah, I could see what was going on the field too. I mean, that was a struggle last night. I mean, they end up winning by 2 touchdowns, but they were really having to really dig. It took a fourth quarter rally to beat Mississippi State, and it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure why it got. I don't know how we got here, though. You know what I mean? Like, you got Chad Morris, you've got Gus, you've got Bo and Tank, and how did it get so bad? I don't even have a good answer to that.
Yeah, I don't either, and I don't know if that's going to take some time to sit back and think about it, or look at where that happened. I mean, look, we could look at the recruiting, where some battles were lost, where some players left, where players didn't even develop that we thought they were going to be the way they were, and who knows who that falls on. You know, it's going to be interesting to look back on in the future and see where those all, how we got to that point. You know, and I think it's interesting. I mentioned earlier about the blue check mark thing in the chat, and you kind of made a comment about it and what you thought that was coming from, and it's exactly what you thought. I mean, everyone's just like, how can a team that's had a winning record every year, you know, with your 2 rivals, you know, playing, you know, what's expectation versus reality, you know, and that's just people who are on the outside looking in. Yeah, you could be right in that sense, and yeah, we have to compete with Alabama or Georgia every year, but almost every time we compete with them, it's not even close. And before that time period even started, it was close, and we were going to those places and winning, and we were going to LSU, Georgia, Alabama winning. Every time we go there, it's not even. We already know we're losing before we even go in, and that's where I think apathy started setting in. I think that's where frustration started setting in. And people who are on the outside looking in don't realize that and think, oh, you went 6-4, you had a winning record. How could you do this? Well, I think we all kind of saw that it needed to be done. And that's what you were spot on when you said that earlier without even kind of knowing. But
I like being spot on accidentally.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see what you know what we're going to do bringing in. You know, I don't know who I want. I think I kind of what Auburn alumni was saying and what you were kind of saying about Mario there before I called in. I think that's kind of who I'm thinking and who I want. But you know, who knows? I mean, I just don't want this to turn into something where we had something going and we can maybe have a hope next year moving forward. Because look, we got a lot of good pieces coming back. We got a lot of good players. You know, can we get a couple good years out of those and build something up on the recruiting trail to keep that going? I think that's going to be key, kind of looking forward. But yeah, who knows? You know, it's going to be interesting. You
got some good recruiters here for sure. I mean, Napier and Cristobal, really good recruiters. Hugh Freeze is a really good recruiter as well. So, yeah. I agree with you. You got to get some players in here. Got to upgrade the talent. You got to.
Exactly. What were your thoughts on? Someone made a comment about Bruce Pearl coming in, revitalizing basketball, and showing how that has continued to grow every single year from the wasteland all the way to the pinnacle, and continuing to keep that up. You know, and that maybe with him entering in his next year, maybe that kind of, I don't know if that's true or not, and it probably isn't, but the expectations started to shift a little bit and saying, well, he's doing that over there with basketball who's been horrible for years. Why can't you keep that up on the football side where you have nothing, you know, you have everything you need and more? You know, I think that's interesting. That was an interesting question.
I think it would make BP sick to his stomach, though, if he felt like he had a role in that. I mean, he's just doing his thing, and it's not like he would ever actively undermine Gus. And that's not what you were saying he did. You're just saying, hey, if he can show how far he can come with basketball, why doesn't it put more expectations on football? I think you're right, but BP is such a coach's coach that, like, it would make him sick to think that he had anything to do with that. It really would. But
yeah, 100%.
He liked Gus a lot.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, I know you weren't, but he liked Gus a lot. He likes Gus a lot, and they're very different kinds of people. But I think it was good for BP to hang out with Gus when they were doing the coaches, what do they call it, the caravan a couple years ago, where, because BP is so good in a crowd and Gus is so bad in a crowd. And I think Gus just walking around with him and going to all these events with him, it helped him kind of open up. It didn't help him win games, but it helped him be a better guy, I think. So we'll see. I don't think he's done coaching, though. I think Gus will go somewhere, man. And I think he'll probably be good. Yeah, somewhere smaller.
Last question thing. What have you thought about all the the players coming out saying all their incredible things, or how it's the wrong move, or there's more behind the scenes that we know? I've seen a lot of people tweeting and Instagramming that, over the past few hours. What are your thoughts on that? Or if you even have any?
A lot of people criticize Gus. There's a lot of reasons to be critical of Gus, but the players never quit on him, and he was a popular coach among players. He was the kind of guy that gave kids room to kind of grow. He did not bust ass the instant somebody screwed up. Like Duke Williams was a great example of a kid that kept screwing up, and Gus, if anything, he was being too soft on him. He's definitely a player's coach. I know it makes some people laugh on the bunker to think, oh, Gus is so awkward. How would he ever get along with these kids? But they like him. I mean, the approval percentage among players will be very high with Gus. So I think they're genuinely upset about it, and they're surprised that 6-4 would lead to this. But players are always surprised, and they're always pissed about when things like that happen because they committed to him. They committed to Kevin. They committed to T-Will. They committed to Al Pogue. And they're concerned that those guys aren't going to be there anymore. And, it's just like taking your family and ripping them out from under you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think they really care, man.
I thought that was a nice kind of gesture, or, just them sharing some positive thoughts about that, it was just interesting to see that they responded that way. And I haven't seen one negative thing from a player about it. And that's, good to see that they ran the program of class. They treated the players right, and that's what you can ask. All you can ask for from them, and that they played their hearts out for the coach.
Word.
So, anyways, well, hey man, good luck with the rest of the show. I appreciate you answering my call, talking for a little bit, and
you do a hell of a job, man. Love having you on the show, bro.
Appreciate it. You too.
See you, man.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Good call there from AU Storm 20. A good, reasonable caller. I always love having him on. Super chat came through. I think I missed it initially. DH Triple HPED, one of our favorites, says big scoop dropping from ad inside source in the Gus thread. I took a look real quick, and all I saw was that he mentioned that Hugh Freeze was trending a little bit, but he still felt like it was going to be Mario. And we already mentioned on the show that Willie Anderson, who we all love, the former offensive lineman, who's a total badass, was tweeting some stuff that he thinks a hire has already been made. That would be interesting if true. I got two awesome callers calling in here concurrently. I'm going to take this one first. What's going on, bro? How you been?
It's me, Mario.
It's Alpha Tiger with his new entrance. Now that Gus has already been fired.
Yeah, I guess I couldn't really stick with Fire Gus much longer. It'll be kind of just dick at this point, so trying to move on.
You don't want to beat a dead horse, I get it.
No, you don't want to kick a man while he's down. I mean, a lot of people, he really is a good guy, and you kind of feel bad about shitting on him for years, but at the same time, I thought you got to make some noise if you want change to happen. So
hey, walk me through the moment today when you found out he had been fired, and just kind of set the scene for us, because I know this is a big deal for you.
Well, I was pretty excited. I mean, I kind of expected it. I'd been hearing things for the week from numerous people that it was something that's like not like one person that's like super connected, but a lot of people who are somewhat connected, and they were all kind of saying the same thing. And they're typically people who don't speak out of their ass, so I was pretty confident that it was going to happen. So
right. You were like,
wasn't overly surprised. Just kind of, I guess that. It's kind of like, and I'm in sales, and it's just like you have a project that's in the works for a year that keeps getting pushed back further and further. Like the day you finally get like the PO for it, it's kind of the same relief, I guess, you get.
Yeah, I understand. You've been politely, for the most part, been pushing for this for a while, and yeah. So I thought of you when it went down.
Well, that's very nice of you. I guess
it's touching.
I don't.
All right, so
I
what are
don't
you
know how to
thinking
respond
next
to rival
next step, brother? What are you thinking here? Plot it out for me here.
Well, I've been here listening to your show. I think you're right. I think it is moving quickly. I think it's hard to say what's actually happening right now. I think there's a lot fewer people involved when it comes to making a coaching hire than when it comes to firing somebody. It's hard to keep a lot of people out of the loop when you're trying to raise $21 million in a week. So that it's a lot easier for information to leak out when you're firing somebody than when you're hiring somebody. So I think we need to, and somebody else has touched on that, I think we need to hire an elite recruiter. I think recruiting is kind of the lifeblood of the team. You've got to have talent on the roster. And then two, I think anytime you're replacing somebody, I think you have to first address their biggest weakness, and I think recruitment is our biggest weakness right now. So I think that a recruiter needs to be not the sole focus, but the main focus in who we hire to replace Gus.
It's good stuff. I think you and I are on board with the idea that recruiting is number one, and if that's the case, I mean, Cristobal is probably the best recruiter on this list. Napier's good too, but Cristobal has been the ace recruiter in Alabama, and everybody knows that's the number one operation in the country. So I'd be tempted to.
I think we'll know. Sorry, go ahead.
I would be tempted to cast my lot in that direction myself.
Yeah, and I think if it's Cristobal, I think we're going to have a general idea whether or not it's going to be Cristobal in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, I think it's a time element with him.
Oregon's going to be pushing now more than ever for him to
Absolutely.
sign that extension. So if he signs it, obviously that means it's probably a no-go. And if he doesn't sign it within 24 48 hours, then I think that would be a good indication that moves are being made for him to come to Auburn. They may not announce it till closer to the weekend, but I think the longer you hear that no contract extension's been signed with Oregon, the higher likelihood is that he'll be our next coach.
Interesting. Like you mentioned, Oregon's pushing him, so he's kind of getting hotboxed a little bit. If he's going to jump, he may have to do it pretty quick. Lee.
He is, and I'm excited about the notion that he's not necessarily Jimmy Sexton is not his agent, which I think is a good thing. But I mean, all agents are the same, so it's not necessarily the best thing. You still got to deal with an agent at the end of the day.
They're looking out for their clients, no doubt. They got to make money.
Yeah, but I mean, if you had to guess today, who would you predict?
Cristobal. But I don't have a number one on the list right now. I still have Napier number one on the list, but we'll find out. I think those three, Napier, Cristobal, and Steele, I think those are the top three right now. So
who would be your top choice realistically that Auburn could get? I mean, I know that's who you think is going to happen, but who would be your top choice if money wasn't an object?
Cristobal, I think. I think he's the most likely winner there. No doubt he's going to get the player. He's going to get the players no matter what, and he's going to recruit up against Alabama and Georgia, and he's going to win his fair share, which has not been going on lately here. So that will be a step in the right direction. And then you go out and you get somebody, who's on the cutting edge offensively. Let's say Kendall Briles. I think he's on the cutting edge. Some people would say Arkansas is not that good, dude. They're undermanned right now. I think Kendall Briles is as good as it gets, offensive coordinator wise. So all of a sudden you kind of start putting dudes together, and you can get something going pretty quick. Auburn has some players. This program's not just trashed the way it was in '98 or '12. They have good players.
No, and I think this year will be, regardless of who's hired, the recruiting will be bad, and it was going to be bad if we kept the status quo. But there's enough talent on roster for a new coach to come in, have a good year, and build on that recruiting momentum for their first full class and then being here for the full year. So excited to see that. Yeah, I mean, somebody like Kendall Briles you're talking about, I think the Arkansas head coach name slips my mind at the moment, but I think he's done a hell of a job up there in 1 year. And Pittman, thank you. And the improvement that they've shown in 1 year, I think, is unbelievable, honestly. So it'd be interesting to see what happens moving forward. It shows you if you get the right guy that immediate change can happen.
All right. Alpha Tiger, I was thinking of you earlier, and we'll have some more brain drains before this thing's over. Hopefully you'll join us on those too, bro.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jake.
See you, bro. There he goes, Alpha Tiger. Badass. D Lucky was calling in as well, right when Alpha Tiger called in. And since Alpha had already been talking about it, that's why I took him first, D Lucky. You know I love you. I've also missed some super chats. I mentioned DX Triple H PED. I missed his initially, and I feel bad about that. So let me call him out again. Thank you very much for that. I feel like I've missed at least one other one. Yes, I did. Pocket Watch had another one. Unbelievable. Just so supportive. Let's remember to smash that like button. Give it up. Give it the old thumbs up to help with the Commodore standing and YouTube posting videos, et cetera, et cetera. It does help me, I think, to get my videos encoded more quickly. And it doesn't cost you guys anything. So if you're around, just hit the smash that like button. And I also missed a couple, let's see, that came in. I hate when I can't call these out when they come in. SpawnQuest Gaming. What's up, bro? Says, Mario hasn't made an Oregon. Why would he leave a recruiting powerhouse with easy competition to go join the grind of the SEC West? He's not going to. My argument on that would be he's from this way. I mean, he's from South Florida, but coached at Alabama. He's coached recruited all through the Southeast. I mean, this is where he kind of cut his teeth, and I think he probably belongs down here. Not to say, Oregon hadn't been great for him or that he hadn't been great for Oregon, but I could see him wanting to come back down this way. This is where the real money is. If you can come down here and dominate, this is where you get filthy rich, and this is where your reputation it blows up. Even in Oregon, I mean, does everyone, do casual fans even know who he is? Probably not. I don't know if Joe in Dubuque knows who Mario Cristobal is. He probably thinks that Chip Kelly's still the coach out there. So you come down here, and heck, you're the coach at Vanderbilt, and you probably have a bigger profile. I'm just talking. You may be an Oregon fan, and if so, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to rag on you or whatever. I like Oregon. We're going to get the J-Head here in just a second. I know there was one. Yeah, Vernon had a super chat as well. Vernon Speaks. Y'all check him out on his page when we're done here. He talks about Auburn, and I think he talks about some other teams too on his YouTube page. He does kind of like these kind of soliloquies or whatever. I listen to him myself, the Auburn ones. So thanks for the super chat there, Vernon. Good man. Just says War Eagle. Yeah, check him out as well there on the YouTubes. I want to get J-Head on the horn. I have communicated with him. Let me make sure I get his stuff out here in front of me so we can get. Oh, no, I didn't mean to call him like that. Oh. Oh, there we go. It's very, very kind of him to say he would jump on and spend some time with us on a Sunday night. Hold on. Oh, my God. This is the biggest super chat we've ever had. It's the biggest super chat we have ever had in the history of the show from Shane G. Oh, my God. Thanks again, JT, for sending a local vertical to a permanent residence in Chile. I did do that, yes. I just finally had enough of him, and you all had enough of him, and that was it. God bless you. An Auburn football coaching search is one of the greatest. It's one of the greatest times to be a bunker member. Not having to read his crap during the search is a Christmas blessing to us all. Shane G, my goodness, bro. Thank you so much for that. Unbelievable. My word. Whew. What, Jay, you have to hold on there, buddy. Luke J says Jay just pooped himself. Yeah, I mean, I didn't do a finger check on that one, bro. Whoa. Thank you so much for that, Shane. My goodness. Kelsey jumped in as well with a super chat. No message. No message offered. None needed. Glad to have you in the chat too, Kelsey. And I know you're a guy too. I am in the beginning. I didn't, but now I do. Shane, my God, dude. Thank you so much. We got to give it up for Shane, man. I'm going to change this 500 to just Shane right here. I mean, you just get immortalized right there, bro. My goodness. Thank you. That's saying the thing's so big, I can't leave it there, though. All right. We need to get J-Head on here. Yeah, seriously, y'all said Jay just pooped himself. That's about right. I'll go ahead and bump that chat up a little bit higher there. Whew. Thank you, Shane, again. All right, Skype. I need to get J-Head on the home. Here we go. All right, it's ringing. It's ringing.
Jay Tate, my man, what's going on?
Oh, man, it's J-Head in the flesh. What up, brother?
What's going on, brother? Busy day, huh?
Oh, hell yeah, it's been busy. And, wow, what a day. This has been one of the crazier days I've ever had as an Auburn writer, that's for sure.
I can only imagine, and I'm sure you guys got the news right before, everything started to break through, probably about an hour or so before, and I can only imagine what your day's been like, what your phone calls have been like ever since, man. I got to guess that people have just been contacting you guys nonstop.
It's been that way, yeah.
But anyway.
It's been that way. I mean, you too, man. I know people, you're always working the phones too.
I have been, and to be honest, and of course, we started swapping texts after the A&M loss, and it really it started to heat up come that night after all the comments came out, and you could just tell that was a momentum swing for those that not personally dislike Gus, but wanted to move on from Gus. That was just kind of a movement point for them to kind of start to really, really, really gain some momentum and pushing some of the people that were more neutral as to whether or not to keep Gus. And then my sources kind of died down throughout the week, and I thought, okay, this is going to blow over if he gets a win against Mississippi State. And then around Friday, more smoke started to come up, and you could just kind of feel it coming. You could just kind of feel it coming. And before we get started into everything else, let me take this as a point to thank Gus Malzahn for what he's done for Auburn University. Him and Christy have been phenomenal ambassadors at the university. They've been wonderful to the players on our football team. He has done a lot of great things for Auburn, and a lot of things that shouldn't be overlooked. Had things become a little bit stale, did we reach a point where we needed to kind of move in a different direction? I do believe we did. And I think that we've made the right decision as far as that's concerned. But I don't want to be short-sighted here and not thank Gus for the many things that he did for the university, the many things that he did for Auburn, and think about all the great moments that he's had as an Auburn football coach, whether it be the prayer in Jordan Hare or the kick six, being part of the comeback, everything that he's contributed to Auburn football over the last 10 to 12 years. I mean, I guess 10 years or so. It's really been a nice contribution, and I hope that he will be remembered fondly and not viewed as some like people, when we reference, Terry Bowden and Tater Todd, or even the way Chiswick kind of flamed out there at the end. I think Malzahn should be viewed a lot differently than those other coaches.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, there's a lot of great moments. The kick six. The kick six is the all-time.
Which is what everybody wants to hear about, which is where we are in the coaching search. I think you're really looking at about, and I think me and you discussed this, 3 to 5 names, all of which you have on your hot board right now. I'm hearing Hugh Freeze is not really in the mix, that he is kind of the Bobby Petrino of this coaching search, that he's somebody on the periphery that would love to be in it, that does have connections to one of our members on the BOT, and is realistically, he's probably, if you're looking for, the best coach on that list that you've currently got right now and the best available coaches, Hugh Freeze is number one on that list. There's no question in my mind. He is the best football coach, pure football coach on that list. But I think, unfortunately, due to, the issues with the NCAA and some personal baggage, I think that's still a little bit radioactive for Auburn. And I don't think we're ready to take that chance to move on from somebody like Gus, particularly if it would jeopardize our situation with Bruce. I don't think that in any way, shape, form, or fashion we would ever want to do that and make it to where we're a constant NCAA target. So I think that's kind of pushed Freeze out to a degree, which is a shame because he is a great coach, but I think there are other good coaches that are on the board. The 2 names that you hear the most, or that I have heard the most right now, are Billy Napier and Mario Cristobal. And then Tony Elliott is another name that I think I texted you about that started to pick up steam, and somebody I think 100% will get an interview. And I know a lot of people think, well, why do we need an interview? We need to move on now. We need to make sure that, we get our guy. We're going to get our guy, okay? But you need to vet at least, 3 targets or so to make sure that they align with the principles of the university, that they mesh with the BOT, that they're going to do all the things that you need a head coach to do, because there are reasons that we had to move on from Malzahn. And it's his inability, it's him isolating himself and not being necessarily the fundraiser that we need to be. His inability at times to connect with the fan base and also connect with the boosters. You need somebody to come in and change that part right away. Somebody that's going to be, a magnetic personality that's going to align us and get us all on the same page. And I think the structure that both Billy and Mario have from a recruiting standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, from how the DNA that they want to instill into a team, how they want to manage things, and things in particular like, the new name, image and likeness situation. That's something that Alan Green and other members of the BOT are going to want to hear, kind of how they plan to deal with those things, because those are extremely important issues that a head coach has to be able to, have a plan for. So I do believe that we have, two favorites at the top, but we're going to vet all three. And Kevin Steele is in the mix. I mean, I don't think he's at the top by any means, but he's definitely in the mix. And then I think it's also interesting. And if you look at all three candidates that I just mentioned, all three have a previous relationship with Steele. So there's the potential that he could be carryover on the new staff, because I don't think any one of them have a defensive coordinator that they're necessarily married to. Tony definitely doesn't, but they worked together at Clemson for a year or two. Billy and him worked together at Clemson, and then I think Mario and him worked together when they were at Alabama.
Yeah.
So I think that might be an interesting way, if they were interested in keeping Steele, and I'm led to believe that they might be, for us to save about $5 million there.
That's good. That's a good corner to cut right there.
That is a nice corner to cut when you're thinking about, the overhead that you just spent. And I will say, though, I don't think that we're going to end up having to pay. I mean, I think we're going to pay all the buyout to Malzahn, but I think Gus is going to probably, and this makes sense for him too, they're going to work out some things financially speaking where this buyout's going to be paid over the next 5 to 6. I don't think that they're going to have to shell out the full, a half in the first 30 days. And you got to think of it from this standpoint. Think of it from a taxes standpoint. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for Malzahn to get $11 million and get hit at 25 or 30%, and he's losing money. Whereas if you could stretch that out for a smaller amount over the next 5 to 6, you're not going to eat as much taxes right there off the top. I think he'd also do that to make sure that this marriage, this divorce from Auburn, is not an ugly dispute or anything of that nature where it gets tied up in court over the next couple of years, arguing over a few $1 million.
Yeah.
I think that Gus would like to move on. He would like to coach again. He would like to be remembered fondly at Auburn. And I'm led to believe that they will come to an agreement on the buyout to make sure they stretch things out a little bit easier and to make the payments a little bit easier to swallow.
Interesting. All right. I can see that. Gus is definitely one who doesn't.
So that's
Gus does not want a messy divorce. He's not that kind of guy.
No, he's not. Gus is not that kind of guy at all. And I think he wants to coach again. I think he wants to make sure that his name is not mud in the coaching community. And I don't think Auburn would do that anyway. But I think he's a guy that wants to move on in a very peaceful, amicable manner. I think he has and has always put Auburn in his best interest, what he thought was in the best interest of the university. And I don't think he's somebody that's looking to, to make enemies at Auburn per se. And that works for both people because he's still going to get his money. You just stretch it out over a little bit longer and you subsidize your income at whatever your other university is going to be.
Yeah.
And I do believe Gus is going to coach football again. I mean, he's not a bad football coach by any means. And you're going to have other universities that are going to have jobs open up, like Texas Tech. I know they're having issues with their coach out there right now. There'll be other universities in the Midwest or in the Southwest that are going to come open that might be ideal fits for Gus. And on a little bit lower scale, where he's not in the SEC West, and he's having to recruit against Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney, and a handful of other guys. It is imperative, and I think you outlined this beautifully. I think when I heard you on the rundown, we have to have a guy that's coming into this situation that's ready to compete. You can't have somebody come into this situation that doesn't want to compete with the big boys, because you're about to be thrown into the deep end of the pond, my friend.
Yes.
You're going head to head, and we have to start winning more recruiting battles. And I think, we've done an adequate job of that, and we've done a really great job at evaluating some talent, and we've got a lot of talent on this roster. And this is a very coveted position by a lot of people, partly and mostly because you have Tank Bixby, who's a generational type player, and you have Bo Nix, who's a blue chip quarterback. You've got offensive and defensive line issues, but you've got players on this team like Owen Papo and a handful of others. This is a very, very, very attractive job. You've got a lot of recruits within a 500-mile radius of Auburn, where you can recruit Atlanta, you can recruit Central Florida, you can recruit the entire state of Alabama, Louisiana, and if you have the right coaches, you can cherry pick from the states of Texas and other places. I can't stress enough, though, how imperative it is that we get the right hire and we hire the right mentality. This is the time that we need to hire Pat Dye. Okay, we need somebody that can completely change the DNA of this team, that can move us into a different stratosphere, because we are starting now, and I think the people that wanted to fire Gus realized this before a lot of other people, or maybe not. I mean, I think the Bucs have been wanting to fire Gus since 2015, but
or earlier.
Yeah. We're starting to move behind Texas A&M, and you want to keep your place in those top, 5-4 programs in the SEC where you're constantly in championship contention. You may not win it every year, but by God, you want to make sure that you're competing for championship every 2 or 3 years or so, and that you're not falling behind everybody else, and that you're winning big-time recruiting battles and you're keeping momentum within your program. And we had just gotten to a point where it had gotten stale and we had lost momentum, and we had to do something to change the trajectory of the program.
Well, they're going to have to, yeah. And the thing is, you can't get somebody who's in any way going to cower to Saban. And so I think you got to get someone who knows him.
No.
And that's why I think Cristobal would be a good hire, because he knows him very well and he's not going to be scared. He knows what he's up against.
No, Mario's not scared of him at all. And Billy's not scared of him either, to be completely honest. And I don't think there's bad blood between him and Saban, but they didn't part on the best of ways either. When he left Alabama, he thought that he should have been named the offensive coordinator, and I believe that's the year that they hired Brian Dable instead, which was probably a mistake. But he went out to Arizona State and worked for Todd Graham for a year. But Billy is a very, very organized, detailed recruiter that was able to recruit kids to Clemson when it wasn't popular to come to Clemson. I mean, I don't want anybody to think that he did the majority of his work at Alabama. He is an extremely talented and aggressive recruiter. So either which one of those are going to be very good hires. Do I think Mario probably right now is the better hire? Yes, because you just look at resume. He would probably be the most accomplished coach on paper that we have ever hired at Auburn University. Okay, he's a Pac-12 championship coach with a Rose Bowl victory. I don't think we have anybody else even close to that, because you think about it, we hired Tuberville from Ole Miss, where he was averaging 7, 6, maybe 8 wins a season max.
It was a tough job, though, because remember he had a bunch of problems. Remember, the coach before him left him in a bad spot with recruiting, with violations.
Extremely bad.
So he was digging
out.
He had
to dig himself out of that major
But
hole.
he was doing it. Yeah, you're right. He was doing it.
You hired Gene Chizik from Iowa State that won 2 games and then 3 games. Prior to that, you hired Tater Tot from Samford. Okay. Before that, Pat Dye, who coached at East Carolina and Wyoming. And then obviously, previous to that, is kind of irrelevant in modern football. But, I mean, if you look at the overall, we have not hired a coach with the credentials of a Power 5 championship and a Rose Bowl victory. We just haven't done that in the past. And is that a byproduct of him catching lightning in the bottle and having, a fantastic quarterback? Maybe. But everything I know about the guy is his DNA is 110% toughness. Okay? Intensity. Aggressiveness on the recruiting trail. And the biggest issue that we have right now are our offense and defensive lines. He's going to fix that instantly.
Right away.
Whether it be through high school. Yeah. He is going to fix that instantly, probably through the transfer portal to start. But he's going to be able to go out and get 4- and 5-star offense and defensive linemen right away. And there's not going to be any question about it.
That sounds good. And, some people in the chat are saying, well, he's 51 and 54 as a head coach. But, man, he was like 32 years old when he got the job at FIU. Like, it was almost like an experimental phase for him. And, I mean, he was up against it there, and he still fought his way through it. I paid more attention to his Oregon time, and he's done pretty good at Oregon, honestly.
Well, and then you need to pay attention to the Florida International time as well. It needs to be accounted for. But this is what they need to keep in mind. Mario Cristobal inherited a team that was coming into a probationary status. Florida International was basically irrelevant at that time. He got them to their first and only, I think, bowl game and winning season ever. Now, he flamed out after that, but he brought them to heights that they've never seen since. Okay? Yes, and he was immature when he took that job. He was arrogant. He probably thought he could flip around, a university. That he really didn't need to take that job. But he didn't have that sage advice to get from somebody like Saban at that point in his career. I think he was bouncing in between working for Schiano and maybe Butch Davis at Miami. I don't know. And just thought that he was a local kid that could flip that around. Was really eager for his first head coaching opportunity. That shouldn't necessarily be indicative of how you view him, but understand that he took a program that was, I think, had max won 5 games in their entire, that was their high, is winning 5 games ever. And he got them, I think, to 9 wins in a bowl game in one season when it was in Sun Belt Coach of the Year. So it's not like he didn't do good work at Florida International. It took a little bit longer because the program was so porous when he took it over. He's not going to have that issue when he comes to Auburn. He's walking into talent right away, specifically at the skill positions. And it's not like our offensive line is terrible, okay? You're probably 1 or 2 transfer guys away from it being better than average, all right? Especially if you can move somebody like Broderius and Ham inside the guard, where you can start to capitalize on his strong suits. So I don't think it's as far away as a lot of people think. And if you bring in a guy like that that's just an absolute beast on the recruiting trail, it just puts you in that much better of a position. Now, with him, because he's never been an offensive or defensive coordinator, he's not married to any one offensive or defensive scheme. You are going to have to give him the money to bring in top-notch coordinators. Okay? Auburn has done that in the past. I don't foresee them. They're paying Kevin 2.5 right now. I seriously doubt they're going to bat an eye at giving him major money to bring in an offensive coordinator if they think that's really going to help the program.
Well, I think he's the guy. I think he's the right choice because he'll stand up to Saban. He's not scared. And so people want to say his coaching record's not awesome enough, but it's just not. Go get yourself a good offensive coordinator. I think a guy like Kendall Briles or somebody like that who I think's been tearing it up at Arkansas. Give him some really good players, and you can go, man. You're ready to go right now.
I think so too, Jay. I don't think that necessarily. I think people get too hung up on the optics of what happened at Florida International, and I understand the argument. But understand where he took that program from the depths of where they were to the, to the crest of where he took them. He took them to heights that they've never seen before and haven't seen since. So understand that he does have the ability to elevate a program. And I know that there are people that are going to argue that, it should be Hugh Freeze or we should go out and get Urban Meyer and get real.
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer is not coming to Auburn. And I want to do a little bit, let's lay this out real quick for the way that the SEC shakes out when it comes to head coaching searches. Let's take the University of Georgia. Their last 2 coaches have both been coordinators. They hired Mark Richt, which was the offensive coordinator at FSU. They hired Kirby Smart, who was the defensive coordinator at Alabama. Okay? Let's look at Florida. Before Dan Mullen, the 2 coaches that they hired were the DC at Texas, which was Will Muschamp, and the head coach at Colorado State, which was Jim McElwain. And they went out and hired Dan Mullen, who was their 3rd choice, by the way, to Chip Kelly at UCLA, to Chip Kelly, who's now at UCLA, and then Scott Frost, who's completely flaming out at Nebraska. All right, let's take a look at Tennessee. Who have they hired? They hired Butch Jones, who was a Group of 5 head coach at at Cincinnati, and then they went out and hired DC and Jeremy Pruitt. All right, let's take a look at South Carolina. Who did they hire? All right, they hired DC and Will Muschamp, and then they looked into, who they have in between Spurrier and Muschamp? No, I guess it was Muschamp that took over after Spurrier, but they had a series of failed coaches prior to Spurrier. So that's kind of a bad example. You can look at Kentucky. Who did they hire? They hired the DC from Florida State, and before that they had promoted within their own staff. So what I'm saying is that a lot of people need to tame their expectation. The only teams in the SEC that hired active Power 5 head coaches, and Mario is an active Power 5 head coach, so it's going to be a coup for us to pull this off, have been Alabama when they went in and he wasn't an active Power 5. He was an NFL head coach at the time when they got Nick Saban to the Miami Dolphins. Texas A&M, who went and got Jimbo Fisher, that they had to pay through the nose in $75 million. And I don't care that they're having a good season. He's still not worth that money.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Dan Mullen, who, like I said, was a third choice head coach at Florida. And those are the only 3 teams that have hired active Power 5 head coaches. Everybody else has hired a group of 5 head coach or a coordinator.
And it's kind of up and down, man. it's the gamble has not been great there.
No, they really have not been great, and that's why you've seen a lot of turnover in the SEC. So understand that we made this move, I think, with 2 or 3 guys in mind that we think can change the trajectory of this program. I think one guy in specifically meets that criteria. I am behind that hire 110%. Let's see if we can pull it off. If it ends up being Billy Napier or it ends up being Tony Elliott, I don't think those guys are bad hires. But for me, you don't eat $21 million to not bring in a proven entity on the recruiting trail, and that is Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, and I think people will realize that here pretty quick. I mean, the pressure's on him, I think, because he's got to have to sign a new deal with Oregon or he's going to have to go to Auburn. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of time to choose.
No, he doesn't have a lot of time to choose, and I think that's why people are seeing an expedite. Seeing everything I'm hearing right now, and I'm sure you're hearing the same thing, is this is turning to, and it's moving really, really fast. So much so that I expect this could come anywhere between 48 hours to the end of the week and probably be announced no later than the SEC championship game.
Interesting. That'd be very fast.
Extremely fast, but I think that we have people in line that have already been doing their homework here. I do think that there are going to be some formal interviews. I don't think people are going to get away from that because, once again, like I said, there's a lot of criteria that you need to vet and make sure that they align. Right now, you know who you think you want to hire, but until you talk to each 3 of those candidates and you start to hear their ideas on certain things that affect your program, you can't be 110% sure. Now, like I said, you can start to enter in the ballpark of negotiations of what it's going to take to get somebody there. Okay, what's the ballpark salary? What do you need for your assistants? What kind of salary pool are you working at there? Okay, we can start to hammer out some of those, the framework of it. But until you actually talk to that person and know exactly what their idea is for your program, how they plan to brand it, you know what I mean, what their leadership style is, will they mesh with your booster base? All those things that are pivotal parts of being a head coach at a place like Auburn, you're not necessarily going to make a hire. But like I said, I think we're trending in the right direction. I think it's going to come extremely quick. I think you can imagine the interviews are going to come within the next couple of days or so. And then by anywhere between Tuesday to Saturday, expect a hire to be announced. That's kind of what I'm understanding or what I'm hearing right now.
Interesting. All right, J-Head. So the plan for you is you're going to be part of our show on Tuesday from the Voodoo Ink Company. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think we were looking forward to talking about National Signing Day and some of the prospects, but that's all kind of gone out the window now, I would expect. But it is going to be interesting to see who Kevin can keep in the boat. I have seen where Jay Lee's already tweeted it out that Demetrius Davis has saying he's staying with Auburn irregardless.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal because you need to lock a quarterback in any class. Where he's already talked to Hal Presley, the big-time wide receiver from out in Texas, and he's saying he's still signing with Auburn. So it looks like we're doing our due diligence on the recruiting show right now, and Kevin is getting after it and making sure that we're locking up. We're not going to be able to add anybody right now. But what you're trying to do is maintain those relationships with those 12 commitments that you currently have and not lose anybody. Because I think the current coaching staff is very high on each kid that they have committed right now. And it gives you at least a base to work with for whoever the next head coach is going to be, to at least have somebody already in the class.
Got to have it, man. You can't just abort it. All right,
no,
J-Head.
You can't walk away and say,
I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
Jay, you there? I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I cut you off. I was a rude host. I'm sorry. Sometimes I mess up.
I know you got other calls coming in. So you go ahead and jump on it, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday, okay?
You're as good as it gets, and I will see you Tuesday. I'm going to buy you wings. All right, bro?
Sounds good, brother. I'm looking forward to it.
See you, man. There he is, J-Head. We got some noobs in the chat, which is fine, saying, who's J-Head? This guy, blah, blah, blah. Dude, and Shane Eagle says this guy talks a lot. You need to listen to J-Head. I'm telling you, he's as good as it gets. The guy is an absolute font of information. We got a lot of super chats we got to get through here. They've been popping up. We just got one from Stoop Up. We'll get to him in just a second. We got one from Ole Miss Sports, our friends at Rebel Grove. I believe that's Neil behind the handle there. He says Hugh Freeze is who Auburn needs to hire. Thank you very much for that, sir. Also, Lewis 3882. So this was supposed to be $500. My fault. It was a $5 super chat. Hey, man, it's all good. Everybody's happy and everybody's welcome here, bro. Lewis is a great bunker member and also a good chatter here in the show. Likes to talk. Actually, back in the day, used to do little Friday night posts from his hot tub. We also had one from Jen Deuce. Great name. Says Rebel Grove loves you too, JGT. We got a lot of Rebel Grovers in here just because they're great people. And you guys know how I feel about Rebel Grove. I hang out there some, and everybody I've ever met from that place at Funky's or everywhere I've been over in Oxford have been absolutely incredible. Cathead guys, too. Got some Ole Miss folks in that group as well. I want to make sure I didn't miss another super chat. I just feel like I did. Obviously, our chat is off the hook. Spicy P. I had this up, but I did not call you out for that. Let me give you an air horn for that, bro. He says, time to replace Jay Jacobs' photo with Alan Green. It's a new day. I'll see what I can find out. I feel like this is absolutely perfect because I've always felt like the Jabotron is just an absolute blight. It's the epitome of nouveau riche, and for me, it's just wonderful having it there. But maybe I can figure something out with Alan too, because Alan is a badass in his own way. For me, it's kind of like I'm lampooning Jay every time we do this, and it makes me happy to do that because he lied to my face, and I don't like it. And then Kelsey G, whose super chat came through right about the time that Shane G dropped that bomb earlier. Again, no message offered and no message needed, Kelsey. Appreciate you. Love having you here on the show and whatnot. Got Jay Lee. Oh, it's actually Brooks. What up, bro? That's Jay Lee's young son, Brooks, the main man, Big Daddy. Justin G says that Rebel Grove loves JG. You know I love you guys. Yeah, okay. Pocket Watch says he loves the Jabotron. I feel like hardcore Auburn people get the joke and they think it's funny. But I understand what you're saying. You weren't like making a big statement on that, Lewis. I get it. Or no, it was Spicy P, my bad. All right, I'm turning the phone lines back open. Still would love to hear from D Lucky if he has a chance to call in. And those of you who are members of the bunk, you know what to do. I put the phone number there. Most of you guys probably just know the number by heart because you've called in so many times. Some interesting calls so far, for sure. Mamadou kind of got us started. Auburn alumni talking about Eric Bieniemy. That's one of his little pet projects. Hey, caller, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Jay?
Is this Bob?
This is Bob, and I want to publicly hug you and apologize.
Yeah.
If possible.
Yeah.
So, is everything cool there?
In what way?
I don't know. I don't like you holding me in ill regards, which was all my doing. So I just want to make that squash that if I can, or if I need to do more, I'd like to do that.
It was a little confusing because you and I talked about this, and I thought we were straight, and then some of your white knights started saying that it was my fault that you were banned, when I think you would yourself say that was not the case. Is that fair?
No, that's correct. You and I were on the same page.
All right.
But no, I pitched a fit, and that was on me. So I just want to tell you that I do apologize.
Sure, man. You've already apologized to me, so you're good with me, bro.
I know, buddy, but an apology is always not. That doesn't solve everything, So there's more to be done here. But this is what I want to say tonight is that the coolest thing about growing up with a team, whether it be Auburn or anybody else, is that I have memories that my parents have to remind me or actually memories I don't have. Told me games I was at when I was a child, and I have memories that I barely remember. Of Legion Field, of the Iron Bowl, and just remember what Auburn football is all about. Just seeing what has come with ups and downs, and right now we're all a bit pissed. And I'm a Gus supporter. I love that man to death, and I was very optimistic about what it could bring. But I guess this is what makes you a quote fan is that you support your team no matter what, and I'm very upset for Gus today, but I'm so excited about what we can do going forward. But I live and breathe Auburn, and I think so many people here do, and that's all I'll ever do. I mean, call me Job, call me crazy, but glutton for punishment. But bottom line is it's Auburn or bust, and that's all I got. But I really think a crystal ball hire brings us, with recruiting. If Gus just had, a line, an offensive line, I think we're talking about a different story, different season.
Yeah.
But we don't have that, and it's I don't know how. Well, actually, I do know some tidbits of why that doesn't happen. But if everybody goes on the same page, then I think that will happen. But I'm ready to go forward and excited to see what happens next. And there's always excitement when change takes place, so there should be, and we should get behind the next person. But I do want to say that Gus is one of the finest people I've ever met, and is one of the nicest people that you could ever hope to meet. And this is not a totally celebratory day, just because Auburn football may get better. He's a good man, and my thoughts are with him and his family, because he certainly gave his all to us.
He did. He worked hard, and he tried to get better all the time, and this team underachieved. But it wasn't because he sucked or anything. It was just not quite there, man.
He didn't suck at all. He just, I think there was just, like a lot of us, there's one piece of the puzzle missing on this, perfect thing, and it just didn't happen. And you know what? That's unfortunately the way things happen 99% of the time. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and I know it's tough for you. You've just liked. I know you like Gus a lot. So.
Well, I like, and I always saw him as an underdog, and I don't know why, but I always saw Gus as an underdog. But we said something a few weeks ago about Gus coming to Auburn with Arkansas as their OC, and beating with Tally, beating the brakes off of us. And I was like, whoever did this, I want him here now. But times change, things change, and you have to adapt. And I don't want to give Saban too much credit, but that joker. It took him. He struggled for about a year and a half, and then he adapted, and he brought the offense on, and realized that it wasn't all defense, and it wasn't all his call. And so kudos to him. He made it happen. But the other thing is, if any other team had the resources they did and the blind eyes they did, we'd all be Sabans. We'd all be Alabamas. So, and I'm not trying to be have LBS on that, but give me a break. With a fair format, Saban is not God. So anyway, and I think hopefully that will come to clear shortly. But I do think Cristobal is the answer as far as recruiting. We have the special pieces, and absolutely, Jay Head knocked it out of the park, and I think he is an absolute hero. He talked about the special pieces. We have the pieces to win. We just need some solidity on the fronts, O-line and D-line. And we're good. So we're good to go.
That close. I think somebody comes in and organizes it. Jay Head was talking about somebody that gets everybody pushing in the same direction, which is not going on right now. I think it's a place, right. Auburn is a place where you could turn it around really fast.
Where else would you want to go? I mean, it's well, I'll say this. A lot of coaches say, well, I don't want to go compete with Saban. Well, how long is he going to be here? And the other thing is, if you've ever been to Auburn, you know how special it is, and why do so many coaches not leave there? Because it's a hell of a place to live. So I think it does the work for itself as far as being a place to live, and all Malzahn's children graduated from Auburn, and I just think I think Cristobal is the guy for the job, and I think he would like the challenge, and I think it's going to happen. I hope so.
All right.
So we'll see.
I like him too, Bob. I like him too.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, I do, before I go, I was going to tell you one more time. I do apologize for my behavior. No, okay, I understand. I just I don't take that lightly, and But I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your work that you do for all of us to be entertained every day, all day. So thank you once again.
All right, Bob himself. I'll see you soon, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
See ya. There he is, Bob himself. A bunker great. Yeah. Let's see, Spicy P says it's Mario time. Let's go, boys. Got some super chats coming through I wasn't able to get to before that call came in from Bob himself. A couple friends from Rebel Grove. Fat Crack jumped in. You guys saw that. He says, hit that like button and let's make JGT famous. I'm already locally famous, so I don't really need any boost there. But I do like thumbs up. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps me a little bit. Gulf Coast Reb, who I think was with us last night, in fact. We're glad to have you, brother. Says, if you guys hire Hugh Freeze, it's guaranteed to be a happy ending. Leave Lane alone, please. Thanks. Let's give you that one. Yeah, not a lot of what do we call those? Salons, or I forget what you call those, where you get like the handies and whatnot. Cole M also jumps in. Another one of our friends from Rebel Grove says, get Neil on the phone. By the way, you say Napier is thirsty, but I hear Sark is thirstier. Oh, my goodness. Wow. I don't know about that, Cole, but I see where you're coming from, bro. And also, super chat from the absolute badass. He's on the Mount Rushmore of the brain drain. Ruxy Poo just says, fire Gus. Why not? For old time's sake. Hey, D-Lucky, what up, bro?
What's good, JG?
Well, you being on the horn is a good start. How you been, bro?
Good. It's been a interesting day to say the least. Lots of development, so we'll start over from here, man. I want to give a shout out to Gus for all the positives he brought to the program. Ran it clean, had us some exciting moments, and had us in contention for some stuff back in the day. So appreciate that, what him and Christy did. But
I like that. He had Auburn going several years ago. Thank you.
Hey, it wasn't all bad. Like, you look back on the relationship, it wasn't all bad. So
yeah,
we're grateful for the good parts, and wish him well on his next stop.
Yeah, I wonder where that'll be.
So now,
I had a guy call me today and ask me if I thought that Gus would go to Vandy. I was like, I don't know. We'll see what he ends up with. But he could do that there, I think.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be horrible, but he probably needs somewhere else where he is not at a talent disadvantage as well. That is not his forte necessarily. So I don't know that his system is as effective as it was years ago. So he needs to go someplace where talent is similar, and maybe his system can help out.
Yeah,
so.
Somewhere a little smaller, little fewer expectations. I think he'd be fine.
Yep. A good group of 5 school that's looking for 7-8 wins a year.
Solid.
Somewhere
solid
warm,
season.
maybe. Yeah, somewhere warm.
What are you thinking about next step here, D-Lucky?
Mario seems like the most logical choice, so we'll see if that works out for us. I'm just hopeful. It comes with every coaching search. We hope that we find the right next guy, and I don't know who that is. I won't pretend to know who that is. There's lots of boxes that we try to check with all of this, but it's just got to be the right combination when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
We absolutely need somebody that understands where the bar is set, and whether folks want to admit it or like to admit it or not, it is in Tuscaloosa. So we've got to have someone who understands that and is willing to rise to that challenge. So we've got to get to that level in order to compete and be where we want to be. So that's kind of the first thing for me, is someone who's not afraid of anything that's going on over there and ready to compete there. Then the rest is, details. Profit.
Yeah, step 3. Step 3 is profit.
Yeah, profit. Exactly.
What's step 2?
Exactly. So we don't know, but just find the first one, and then step 2, and then profit.
I don't know if you saw this, but Willie Anderson was talking on Twitter, says he already knows who the hire is going to be, and he thinks it's a good one. I'm interested.
Well, Willie's probably more connected than most, so if he says that, I trust him.
Yeah.
It's not often that an all-pro left tackle, makes that kind of statement on Twitter, so I'll accept it until I see who it is. I'm willing to go with it. Yeah, I'll follow him blindly.
What else you got on your mind tonight?
But outside, just some folks are still a little. It's surprising a little bit for me. Some folks are still a little bitter that the move was made and feel like we had to have a backup or the next person already before we make the move. And I just disagree with that premise. We've come to the decision that it was time for a change. It was just time for a change. Like I said, Gus did what he did, but we're not anywhere near where we want to be. We're just not. So now we got to find somebody that can get us there, and we're going to try our best to find who that person is. But keeping Gus wasn't the right move. So there's no point in even debating that part of it to me. And some people apparently in the chat feel differently about that, and some other folks I've seen, online. So that's just still a little surprising after kind of everything we've all seen.
Yeah. I really believe, D. Lucky, we've been talking about it. I think Auburn can get turned around very quickly. I mean, I really do. I think they weren't that far away this year. I wouldn't say they were scary close, as we like to say on the bunker, but a few wins in the transfer portal, and you're able to kind of stem any losses. You add a few kids, you get a really good offensive coordinator who actually knows what to do and how to maximize the available resources. I think they can be pretty good quickly.
I agree with that, and that's the thing with kind of needing to start. So the restart is we can get better quickly with the right person and a couple of pieces, but then that can't be just a temporary fix. We can't. I talked about it on one of the other calls. We can't just try to fix the team for next year. We've got to fix the program, and the program needs help. So that's going to come from a ground up rebuild of identifying what makes the program strong. So offensive and defensive lines have to be recruited, and we have to have people that allow us to win. And that's not all going to happen with this recruiting class or the next recruiting class, but it's got to start now. So that's absolutely going to be part of it. And then they've got to build. We got to have an offensive system that allows us to be successful, and that we can utilize kids once we get them, and not have people sitting on the bench or on the sideline who could help us that we don't play for whatever reason. So all those kinds of things that we had issues with Gus, those things have to be addressed program-wide, not just for next year's team. So great if we have a really successful season next year, but if it takes us 2 years to get it and it be permanent and long-standing, I'll take the long-term success over us being, 9-3 next year.
Yeah, I hear you. Some of these guys can be really good. I don't know exactly which ones, but I bet some of these names on this list right here are going to be really good coaches. It's just you got to make sure you hit the one that is going to be good. It's tough.
Yep, and I'm sure someone smarter than me is trying to figure that out right now. So hopefully they do exactly that.
What else you got, D. Lucky? We're always waiting on you.
Well, I appreciate that. This is all football, so I'm just going to keep it at football for now. I'm interested in we'll jump back on the basketball, but very happy. I didn't get to call in last night. Very happy with the outcome of yesterday's game and the effort that Bruce and the boys had in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
That's really impressive to me. So I'm thrilled at that. Other than that, I'm good, man. I'm just like I said, I'm relieved that the move was made. I won't say I'm excited yet, but I'm real close to excited. I'm positive about the fact that we're going to do something different and rebuild, rework, rewire, reconfigure, however you want to describe what's about to happen. I'm hopeful that when we look back on it, it'll be a big change and a successful one for the program.
Be big. All right, D. Lucky. Another great call. We did miss you last night, but you made up for it here, so we're all good. We're all square.
Man, I appreciate y'all. Have a drink, boys.
See you, bro. There he is, D. Lucky. One of our very best callers. He'd be on the Mount Rushmore, too. Usually comes in late during our shows and just kind of gives us a good, calm, consolidates everything together into one and doesn't get nasty. Although our callers generally don't get nasty. Stoked to see Ruxy Poo in the chat, though. That's awesome. Thanks for the super chats, bro. He was reminding us that no matter what happens, Auburn's got plenty of good tight ends, and that's going to be a great building block when the next coach comes in to try to get Auburn back on its feet again. Greg, asked me, I made a reference earlier to Jay Jacobs lying to my face. It wasn't just me, but he told some tall tales when it came to the softball investigation that was going on a few years ago. And I don't know. I'm not going to go into all that. We were talking about football coaches right now. Hey, caller, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, JG?
I know who this is. This is Ruxy Poo. What up, man?
What's up, man? I'm feeling pretty good. I didn't think it was going to happen after that win last night, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm
What
not
was?
gonna keep you long.
Hey, you as a younger bunk, what did you think about Gus's dancing?
I thought it was hilarious, and I don't know. I thought once he was doing that, he knew he was staying. But then I was talking to other younger bunks, and they were like, "Oh man, he's dancing to the bank. Like he's out." So I got some pretty good gifts I could post on the bunker and some other pictures and stuff. But I mean, it's gonna be like a gift legend forever. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I didn't get the chance to hear J-Head's call, so I don't really know who the coaches he was talking about was. But I guess everybody on the bunker is talking about Cristobal, which I guess I'm on board with. Anybody who can recruit an O-lineman and, you know, kind of turn this thing around, maybe get a good offensive coordinator who could develop a passing game and, you know, route tree. That'd be nice. Maybe fix Bo Nix.
That'd be a good step in the right direction, huh?
Yeah, that'd be nice. But, you know, I don't have too much knowledge on this stuff, so I just wanted to call in and say, hey, you know, love everything you guys do. You, Jay Lee, B. Matt, Christian, Clement, keep doing this thing, and I'll see you later.
All right, see you, Rux Boot. There he is. He keeps it short and sweet. That's for sure. Yeah, Greg, I didn't want to go into too many details on that. I've talked about it before, but it was over the softball thing, and he was lying. And, you know, he was a big guy talking about Christianity. I'm talking about Jay Jacobs. He's a big talking about Christian values and stuff, which is a great way to live your life. It's the way I live my life. But then he started lying to people, and I didn't like that very much. Let's see if anything else is going on over here in the chat. I had to ban some Bammers. Well, although it looks like we have some Bammers that are being reasonable, and then some that were being turds. So I just knocked the other ones out of the park. No big deal. So a lot of talk over here about Kiffin, but we do have a lot of Rebel Grove people in here. I have not heard Kiffin's name at Auburn at all. And Shane Eagle, I got to give you full credit, bro. You've been going the whole time throwing out stupid names for my sources are telling me that blank is the next head coach at Auburn. Your latest one is Ty Willingham. You've also mentioned, who else? Charlie Weiss. What's up, Tucker P? He says, what's up, Mr. J, without the up? It's all good. Auburn alumni says, did y'all see Seth Williams' TD catch go viral from last night? Yes, he was yapping up a storm with that cornerback, and then he wasn't. And then the cornerback got beat on that over-the-shoulder throw, and that was about it. And Schwartz was ready to come over and let him know how he felt about it as well. Mark M. from the Rebel Grove says Freeze will do well at Auburn, and it would be high comedy to watch the Mississippi contingent spill all the beans they've been holding on to for the last 3 years. Oh, yeah. I wonder if Auburn thinks that consciously. Like, you know, we could hire him, but how many stories are out there that we haven't heard? So we go, Go Tigers says Les Miles to Auburn. He's obviously doing a great job at Kansas. Everything's going really well there. And D. Stutzman says he kind of liked Gus's buyout dance. I don't know if you had a chance to see that, but it was really something special for sure. All right, I pledged to keep tonight's show a little bit shorter because we got Sunday Night Football and whatnot, and we're going to have a series of these shows through the week as things pick up. And if you were listening to Jay Head earlier, who's somebody who knows what he's talking about for real, he thinks this thing's going to flip pretty quickly. So I'm not sure about that. Brian Matthews also feels that way. I don't know. I have to see how I feel about that. I haven't really gotten to timetable yet, but I've been working on stuff all day, and maybe tomorrow I'll have a chance to talk to people a little bit more thoroughly and get a better feel for what the time frame is going to be on this. But it'll definitely be something to watch. Of course, we've got National Signing Day on Wednesday, and I know Auburn would not like to punt that, but they do have Kevin Steele in place, a guy who's been recruiting a lot of these players and who knows them personally. He's interacted with them personally, and he can help kind of get them to the finish line as far as the early signing period and then see what happens. Obviously, Kevin will be a candidate for the full-time job. We think it's kind of a three-man race at this point. Things change a lot when it comes to recruiting. Coaching searches. Kevin, who is the interim head coach right now, Mario Cristobal, the head coach at Oregon, and Billy Napier, the head coach at Louisiana Lafayette. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. I do want to give a shout-out to all of our callers, Mama Dudat, Auburn alumni, a.k.a. He was standing for Eric Bieniemy, AU Storm 20, Alpha Tiger, J-Head, Bob himself, as you know on the board as Bob Maplethorpe or Mablahorpy, and D. Lucky as well. All of our super chatters who are just badasses, including Shane G., who dropped the biggest super chat we've ever had. ever had in Brain Drain history. Other super chatters include Fat Crack, Hornatius, Ryan S., Elite Gus, all before the show even started. Sparrow Empire, MWF0001, our man in Oklahoma, Jeff C., unbelievable, dude. Your generosity these last 2 days has been off the charts. Thank you so much. AU Storm 20, who also called, Crocodile, War Eagle 0008, Elite Gus again, attaboy, DH Triple H PED, Pocket Watch, Stu Pup again, keeping his streak alive. He has super chatted every single show we've ever done. Spawn Quest Gaming, Vernon Speaks. Be sure to check out his YouTube page on the YouTubes. Shane G with that unbelievable super chat, dude. Thank you so much for that. Kelsey G, Spicy Penguin, who I believe is a new member to the site. Jen Deuce, one of our friends from Rebel Grove. Lewis, 3882. Ole Miss Sports, a.k.a. Neil McCready. Stu Pup again. Saying Jay getting Twitch gamer type numbers tonight. I'm sorry I missed that, bro. I didn't call it out. Gulf Coast Reb, Cole M, two of our friends from Rebel Grove. Kenneth M, I don't think I called out your super chat, brother, and I'm sorry for that. Thank you very much for jumping on, bro. Ruxy Poo dropped a couple there late as well and called in. So all in all, a very successful show. We will continue to do these through the week, and as conditions merit, and probably even after somebody gets hired, however long that is, we're just going to kind of keep it going. So I appreciate you guys jumping on the show with us tonight. If we do it, we'll probably do these in the around the same time of the day. So if you guys are on the auburnsports.com and you want to give me some suggestions on when to do it, like what time is the best for you, I would love to hear it. If you guys are not subscribers, we've got a subscription deal going on at our site right now at auburnsports.com. You get, I believe it's 50% off for your first year plus 3 free months with promo code WDE50. Holy shiz, man. I got another super chat coming through late from Jeff C. again. Says for the Chirins. Chirins. Man, unbelievable. Your generosity these last 2 days has been off the charts, dude, and I appreciate it so much, man. Thank you. I give you a full DJ air horn for that one. My goodness. Whew, what a show. I can't believe the numbers we had. Dude, back during the quarantine, there were like 50 of us. And I was stoked about that. And I think we peaked at like 825 tonight. That was great. All right, guys. For most of you guys, it's been a good day. I know a lot of you were just kind of felt like whether you disliked Gus or you didn't, you just kind of felt like, it was kind of the end of the road for Gus. And, it was sad to kind of see him go. He's a good guy. I think we all agree with that. But the numbers just weren't quite there. And, again, never won a rivalry game on the road. It's a tough way to keep it going long term. And again, you can't hardly go 10 years in this league anymore. Saban has done it, but you got to give Saban credit. He's basically the GOAT. And Gus didn't quite make it, but he's a good dude anyway. And we'll see if Auburn can make a great home run hire and turn this thing around. I think what Jay had said about the person's got to be able to get everybody going in the right direction. That's what's got to happen. Auburn's going in a lot of different directions right now. We just need a unifier to come in there, and I think Auburn can be good next year right away. So we'll check you guys out. I'll try to give you guys ample forewarning about when we're going to do shows in the future, but they won't be long. Until we see you guys again, keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Behave yourself. See you next time.